native doctor gave Ifenkili's mother a substance to add into Ifenkili's food, which caused her to become dumb. He also gave her another substance which made Ifenkili fall ill. He told her to add the second substance first, so that by the time Ifenkili became dumb, everyone would think that it was as a result of the sickness. It broke Ifenkili's mother's heart to have watched her daughter suffer all these years as a result of the substance she had added into her meal. But she found comfort behind the reason why she had done so, as it was better to have her daughter dumb. Ifenkili woke up that morning feeling a little better. She had been sick for 4 days now, and the previous night she had felt as though she was going to die. She lay on the bed recalling the incidents of the previous night. Her worried mother had pushed both the liquid and powdered herbs she had prepared down her throat. She could also recall hearing how loud her younger sister Dubeim cried and had begged her not to die and leave them alone. Ifenkili felt bad as she recalled all the trouble she made her poor mother and her younger sister go through. Oh God, please I beg you, may I never suffer such sickness again or any sickness at all. Protect me, protect my sister Dubeim, and protect our poor mother. Keep us safe and may no evil befall us, Ifenkili prayed in her heart. Slowly, she stood up from the bed which she shared with her sister Dubeim. Dubeim had already awoken and was not in the room. Ifenkili still felt a bit weak, but she could walk, so slowly she came out of the hut, but did not find her mother nor Dubeim outside. Then, she attempted to call on her mother and sister to find out what part of the compound they were in. "Mother," Ifenkili called out, but she paused, realizing that she could not hear her voice. "Mother," she called out again, and for the second time, Ifenkili could not hear her own voice. Ifenkili panicked and tried saying few other words, but heard nothing of all she said. "What is happening to me? Have I gone deaf? Why can't I hear my own voice?" Ifenkili wondered, with an intense fear and worry written on her face. Just then, a cock crowed, and she heard it crow. "I am not deaf. I heard the cock crow," Ifenkili said hastily. She also realized that she could hear the gentle sound of the early morning wind and the noise of water being poured into a drum in the compound of their neighbors. Ifenkili made a hiss sound. "I must have still been sleepwalking when I thought I couldn't hear the sound of my voice the first time," Ifenkili said to herself. She walked to the other side of the compound. Mother and Dubeim must be there, she thought to herself. And true to what she thought, she saw Dubeim arriving with a pot of water on her head and was about to pour the water into the bigger water pot kept at a corner in the compound. Dubeim, let me help you." Ifenkili moved close to Dubeim and attempted to help her bring down the water pot from her head. Dubeim moved back, refusing to allow her older sister help her, being that she had been sick. But then, within those seconds Ifenkili had said the words about helping her sister, she realized once again that she did not hear her own voice again. Dubeim also noticed that Ifenkili's lips moved, but no sound came forth from the words she had tried to speak. Ifenkili, are you okay? I can tell you tried to say something to me just now, but I did not hear the words," Dubeim said. Ifenkili stood there, looking confused, as she had also not heard herself when she spoke since that morning, but had waved it off because she thought that she had been sleepwalking when she first came out. The fact that Dubeim was also confirming it made her scared and worried again. "Please speak. Just say anything," Dubeim, who also had gotten scared, said to Ifenkili hastily. Ifenkili kept speaking, but nothing she said that she and Dubeim could hear. All Dubeim could notice was that Ifenkili's lips kept moving, but no sound came forth. The two sisters held on to each other and began to cry, as it became clear that Ifenkili may have become dumb. They remained in that position crying for about 7 minutes before their mother returned from where she had gone to. Their mother had left the house early that morning to pick some herbs so she could prepare it and administer it to Ifenkili by the time she woke up. Ifenkili's mother dropped the herb she was carrying on the ground immediately she got home and saw her daughters crying. "What is it? Why are you two crying?" She pulled Ifenkili and hastily touched her all over her body as a way to examine her because she was the sick one. "Ifenkili, what is it? Are you feeling worse?" she said as she ran her hands all over Ifenkili's body. "Mother, Ifenkili can't speak. No sound comes forth when she tries to," Dubeim announced to their mother amidst her tears. "Is that why you both are crying? Do not cry, my daughters. I believe it is as a result of the seriousness of the sickness. She would regain her voice gradually and back again as she gets better. Ndo oh? Now, you both should stop crying," their mother said. The word Ndo is an Igbo word which means sorry. Ifenkili and Dubeim stopped crying as their mother comforted them. Ifenkili got better and stronger 2 days later, but her voice never came back. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, yet Ifenkili remained dumb. She took many herbs from the different ones prepared by her mother to other ones prepared by the 2 different renowned herbalists in the village and also from a midwife. But none of the numerous herbs were able to restore Ifenkili's voice. The months spanned into years, still leaving Ifenkili dumb. And now, after being that way for 4 years now, Ifenkili accepted her fate. Everyone in their village now knew her to be dumb. Many people wondered what offense she may have committed for the gods to punish her this way. Or was it their forefathers who had offended the gods and their family is now being punished? Some of the villagers said and wondered. They said this because Ifenkili's father had died a premature death after mysteriously drowning in the river when Ifenkili was only 6 years old and Dubeim was 3. Ifenkili was not the first child of her parents. She had an older brother who died also 2 years after their father's death. Now, Ifenkili possessed a special gift. This was the gift of dreams and revelation. Before an unpleasant event would occur, Ifenkili would dream about it. She had this gift right from when she was younger and a child, but she could hardly possess it then. Before her father had died, she had dreamt about it, and all she could say to her father then was, "Father, I saw your body floating on top of the water. Please do not go close to the river." But her father had ignored her words. When her older brother had died also, she dreamt about it, and that his body was found lying in the bush. She communicated it with her mother and older brother, and they had also dismissed her because she was just a child then. As Ifenkili grew into a teenage girl, she had more dreams, and every time she did, she would try to warn the person concerned about the danger she saw, but her mother would stop her. "You would be considered a witch and would be killed if you tell anyone that you had a dream about them and that something bad would happen to them," her mother would always say to her. Most of the time, her mother had to lock her in the room for days in order to stop her from going out to warn whomsoever she dreamt about. All of this happened until when Ifenkili became dumb suddenly that time. Now, her mother no longer locked her in the room because even if she dreams, she is unable to tell and explain her dream to the person concerned because she is dumb and the person is usually not able to fully understand what she is trying to communicate to them through a sign language. It is only her sister Dubeim and her mother who have come to understand whatsoever she communicates to them. One morning, Ifenkili woke up panting heavily. She had just had a dream. In her dream, she saw someone whose face was hidden trying to strangle the king to death. What terrified Ifenkili was that somehow she was also in the palace and right in the king's bedroom, and she was stretching out her hands to stop the person who was trying to kill the king. Ifenkili communicated this dream later that morning to Dubem like she had always done. She begged that Dubem escorts her to the palace to warn the king. "You can't tell this dream to anyone, no, not especially to the king. Remember, mother says that you will be termed a witch and may be killed if people get to know that you are always having evil dreams about them. Let's just pray for the king that the gods would keep him from every harm," Dubem said, trying to discourage Ifenkili about the idea. However, Ifenkili could not keep calm as she felt a strong desire to warn and save the king all through that day and even to the next day. By the third day, the desire and urge was still there and it became stronger. So, at noontime on the third day, when her mother was not around and Dubem was taking a nap, Ifenkili sneaked out of their house and headed to the palace. She made signs and gestures to the guards who kept watch at the palace entrance to communicate to them that she wants to see the king and have a word with him. But they had difficulty and could not fully understand what she was trying to say. "I believe that you are trying to say that you want to see the king, but we can't let you see him without knowing your purpose for wanting to see him. I think you should go and come back with someone who would be able to interpret for you and say the reason why you want to see the king. I am sure that your sister Dubem would be able to help you with this. Moreover, the king is not even around at the moment," one palace guard who knew Ifenkili said to her. Ifenkili was disappointed and turned to leave when the king, who was out earlier, arrived. King Obiora was a young man in his early 20s. He had become king 3 years ago after the death of his father, who was the former king. Immediately Ifenkili saw King Obiora, she rushed to him and started making gestures to tell him about the dream she had had concerning him. The guards, who were escorts and was with the king, shouted at her and scolded her for not paying respect and bowing to the king before she started communicating with him. So they tried to pull her away, but King Obiora stopped them. He asked Ifenkili to follow him into the palace and tell him everything she wants to say to him. Ifenkili told King Obiora all about her dream. She was grateful that somehow King Obiora was able to understand all she had just told him. However, immediately she had communicated all she came to say, she developed a sudden fear, realizing that she could be termed a witch and be executed by the king. From what I can gather, someone would make an attempt on my life and you would save me, King Obiora said after listening to Ifenkili. Though quite young, King Obiora possessed great wisdom and some level of exposure. This is largely due to the fact that he had attained some level of education in the big city. He was also a man with a gentle demeanor and a kind heart. That was why he had allowed Ifenkili in and had patiently paid intense attention to her and the gestures she made while she communicated all she had to say to him. Also, King Obiora had been stunned by Ifenkili's outstanding beauty from the time she rushed to him at the entrance of the palace, and something in him yearned to have her be close to him from that time. Ifenkili, using her usual sign language and moving lips, told King Obiora that she was not sure if she would or could save him, as she had not seen that in her dream. All she saw was that she was struggling to stop him from being killed before she woke up. I have a strong feeling that I will be safe and nothing would happen to me if you move into the palace. So please do not say no, King Obiora told her. Ifenkili nodded her head to show that she does not want to and do not agree. But King Obiora insisted. He called his 2 closest guards to accompany him, and together all 3 of them followed Ifenkili home to ask for permission from Ifenkili's mother that she allows Ifenkili move to the palace. Ifenkili's mother, who had returned back home from where she had gone barely just a minute earlier, was surprised to see her daughter and the king. "My king, please forgive us. Forgive her if she has offended you," she said, panicking. "Rise, mother. There is no cause for you to be scared. Rather, I have come to ask you for a favor," King Obiora told her. He stated the reason he was there, begging Ifenkili's mother to give her permission. Ifenkili's mother, however, refused and begged King Obiora, stating that she cannot grant his request. But after seeing that King Obiora remained persistent and had been there for almost an hour, she reluctantly agreed, on the condition that Dubem be allowed to go to the palace also, so she could look after Ifenkili. King Obiora accepted her condition and told her that Dubem was welcome too. And so, Ifenkili moved to the palace with her sister Dubem. There was a middle-aged man whose name is Amadi. Mazi Amadi is a chief and part of the king's council. As a matter of fact, he had been a close friend of the royal household and has shown his unwavering support and loyalty to the former kings and now to King Obiora. Mazi Amadi is also Ifenkili's father's second cousin, which means that he is Ifenkili and Dubem's relative. Mazi Amadi was shocked and displeased when he learnt that Ifenkili and Dubem were now living in the palace. "My king, I do not think that your decision to allow those girls be in the palace is a good idea. They may cause trouble for you someday," he said, trying to discourage the king and advising him to send them away. But King Obiora assured him that there would be no problem because he has a strong feeling to keep them in the palace with him. One morning, King Obiora suddenly fell ill, and despite all the herbal medicines given to him, he did not get well, but rather grew worse as the days progressed. Ifenkili became worried as she feared if King Obiora would survive. She had questions in her heart as she had not seen that the king became sick and died as a result of the sickness. What she had seen in her dream was that he was being strangled by someone whose face was not revealed to her. And since then, she had earnestly prayed that the gods protect King Obiora from being killed and from whosoever that was trying to harm him. No, the king must not die. He is a good man and has shown I and my sister so much kindness since we moved into the palace, Ifenkili said to herself one day. So, Ifenkili locked herself in the room and spent the whole day crying and praying to God to show mercy and spare King Obiora's life. She was all alone that day as Dubem had gone home to check on their mother. Ifenkili prayed and cried throughout the day and into the night. By morning of the next day, she was exhausted, seeing that she had stayed awake and had cried her eyes out for so many hours. However, she felt an urge to go check on King Obiora. She tried to fight the feeling, but it would not go. Slowly and reluctantly, Ifenkili stood up and headed to King Obiora's chamber. Ifenkili was shocked to see a guard in the king's room and that he was strangling him when she entered his room. Quickly and immediately, Ifenkili dashed at the guard and fought to stop him, but he was strong and Ifenkili was no match to his strength. He held on to the king's neck and Ifenkili could not pull him away. Ifenkili did not know when she started screaming and calling for help, and surprisingly, everyone in the palace heard Ifenkili scream and called for help. The guards and the maidens in the palace rushed into the king's bedroom and caught the evil guard strangling the king. He tried to run away, seeing that he had been caught, but he was caught and thrown into the palace prison. Luckily, he did not succeed at killing the king, as the king was still breathing when he was checked. And surprisingly also, King Obiora felt a little bit stronger than he had been in the last few weeks and managed to come out of his bedroom with the help of his guards who supported him. The evil guard who had made an attempt on the king's life was questioned and asked to confess as to why he wants the king dead, but he refused to speak. However, When King Obiora ordered that he should be beheaded for making an attempt on the king's life and refuses to speak, the guard got scared and confessed that it was Mazi Amadi who asked him to poison King Obiora so he would be sick and to later kill him so that no one would suspect that he was murdered. He further revealed that Mazi Amadi was the one who killed King Obiora's father and King Obiora's uncle, who was king before Obiora's father. Mazi Amadi had nursed the ambition to become king for a long time, and slowly he eliminated King Obiora's uncle and his brother, and also wanted to eliminate King Obiora as part of his plan. He was a wealthy man and had so much influence, and so he knew that if he eliminates everyone who was from the royal lineage, he would be able to convince the chiefs and kingmakers to crown him king. He paid the evil and greedy guard to help him execute his targets. After the evil guard's confession, Mazi Amadi was seized and stripped of his title as chief. He was beaten and forced to confess, and he admitted that what the guard had said was true. He also confessed that he killed Ifenkili's father and Ifenkili's older brother. What had happened was that Ifenkili's father, who also had the same gifts of dreams and revelation, had dreamt that Mazi Amadi was going to kill the former king. This king was Obiora's uncle. He had also dreamt that he may probably going to die if he confronts Mazi Amadi, but he couldn't sit by and watch his second cousin do something so evil. So, he confronted Mazi Amadi still, which made Mazi Amadi kill him and dumped his body in the river. Years later, Ifenkili's older brother, with the same gifts of dreams and revelation, dreamt and saw that Mazi Amadi was going to kill the new king also. This was Obiora's father, who became king after his brother's death. Ifenkili's older brother confronted his uncle and begged him not to do what he planned, but Mazi Amadi did not listen. Ifenkili's brother decided to go warn the king about Mazi Amadi, but Mazi Amadi got the information before the young boy could get to the palace. Mazi Amadi intercepted him on the way and killed him with the help of his thugs. Again, Ifenkili's older brother had also dreamt that he may probably lose his life if he attempts to expose Mazi Amadi. But just like his father, he could not bear to sit by and watch Mazi Amadi carry out his evil plan. It was quite unfortunate that they had both lost their lives for a good cause. After the whole revelation, King Obiora gave the command that Mazi Amadi and the evil guard be beheaded immediately for killing the former kings and for attempting to kill him also. And without wasting any time, the two evil men were beheaded. Now, after everything, Ifenkili, though happy, was surprised that she could speak again. She wondered how it all happened and had no explanation for it. The news spread fast into the village of how Ifenkili saved the king and was now able to talk. Her mother and her sister Dubem rushed back to the palace to see for themselves. Ifenkili's mother held her daughter and cried immediately she entered the palace. "I am sorry, my daughter. I did not want to lose you too like I lost your father and brother. That is why I did what I did. But thanks be to the gods that the evil man who made me do it is no more, and now you can now speak," Ifenkili's mother said to her. Ifenkili pulled back from her mother, confused, and wondered what it was her mother had just said. Ifenkili's mother revealed that she had known all along that Mazi Amadi was evil and that he was responsible for the deaths of the previous kings. She knew this because her husband had told her about his dream, and she had also encouraged him to confront Mazi Amadi. But when her husband died suddenly the next day after he had confronted Mazi Amadi, she became scared and regretted that she encouraged her husband to confront Mazi Amadi even when he had told her about his second dream where he had died. So, a few years later, when her son also had the same dream, she begged and did everything to stop her son from confronting Mazi Amadi. but the boy was strong-headed as his father and she lost him too. This made her lock Ifenkili in a room whenever Ifenkili had a dream and was going to tell the person concerned. She tried to instill fear in Ifenkili and told her that she would be termed a witch and be killed if she told anyone about her dreams. She also feared that Ifenkili may also have the same dream as her husband and son in future, and she may not be able to stop her. So, one day, she traveled to see a strong native doctor to help her stop Ifenkili from having any more dreams. The native doctor told her that it was impossible to stop her from having those dreams because the dreams were from the gods, but suggested a solution to her. He told her that if Ifenkili goes dumb, she would not be able to tell her dreams, and this would save her from Mazi Amadi or anyone who would seek to harm her because of her dreams. The native doctor gave Ifenkili's mother a substance to add into Ifenkili's food, which caused her to become dumb. He also gave her another substance which made Ifenkili fell ill. He told her to add the second substance first, so that by the time Ifenkili became dumb, everyone would think that it was as a result of the sickness. It broke Ifenkili's mother's heart to have watched her daughter suffer all these years as a result of the substance she had added into her meal. But she found comforts behind the reason why she had done so, as it was better to have her daughter dumb but alive than to have her speak and die. Ifenkili, Dubem, and their mother wept so hard after the whole revelation. Ifenkili was shocked to learn that her mother was the one who had caused her to go dumb. But she could not be angry at her mother. Instead, she appreciated her and loved her the more for doing what she thought was the only solution at that time in order to keep her safe. It was such an emotional moment as everyone who was present in the palace watched mother and daughters. Well, everyone agreed that all that had happened was God's divine plan to finally expose Mazi Amadi, and that is why also Ifenkili was now able to speak. Ifenkili and Dubem returned back home since the king was now safe. A week later, when King Obiora was stronger, he visited Ifenkili and proposed to her, asking her to marry him. Ifenkili accepted. They got married and lived happily ever after. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story and have learned a thing or two from it. I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.